right, everybody. This is episode 14 of Washed in the Wild. I am excited. We are rapidly approaching episode 20, which I heard, I don't know how true this is, I heard this week that generally the podcasts and shows and stuff that start out and don't make it or don't continue, it's or they don't succeed, is because they quit before or by like the 20 episode mark. So I'm like, shoot, I didn't even know that. We're already almost there. So that's encouraging to me because I feel like we're all pretty excited to keep this thing rolling.
I agree.
At this point. So
it's part of the schedule at this time. It's both watching them and doing them. So I'm in. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, today it's a little bit early, but I just can't wait. So we're gonna do a little bit of a turkey hunting preview, I guess, for the season. We're lucky enough here to have quite a few different perspectives, as I think the previous episodes have shown, or experience levels as well. And Gentry and Dan are on the new end of turkey hunting.
I've never turkey hunted.
Never been.
And then my dad, Matt, here has turkey hunted for, I don't know, probably significantly longer than I've been alive. I'll just say that. And I have been turkey hunting since, like, with a gun in my hand, I guess, for 14 years, I think now, probably this year. So yeah, I think we're just gonna let Gentry and Dan throw some questions at us today, and see, maybe what you guys, as if you're a beginner or somebody who's never even thought about turkey hunting, what, maybe they can bring something in that you guys might be thinking yourselves, rather than us just sitting here talking about what we want to talk about, which might not be that exciting or that as interesting to, somebody who's on the fence about turkey hunting. Because ultimately, I think we're all, and this is the case for most hunters, we're all about growing the sport. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes when you're out on public land and there's 5 other hunters there, like, you're really like, why do we try to grow the sport? But ultimately, I mean, that's how it survives, right? Is getting passed down from generation to generation because people love it, because it's not really a necessity anymore for most people. So anyway, Dan, would you mind saying a prayer for us?
Father, thank you again for this awesome day and bringing us together here to share our passions and the things that bring us together. We just ask your holy presence in this moment, in this time, and help us to be able to share our faith, to spread the gospel and the good news of you, and to enlighten others on the merits and the goodness and the conservation that comes out of hunting. Lord, we love you and praise in your name. Amen.
Amen. So just to get us kicked off, the North Dakota turkey season starts this year on April 11th, I believe, which among our family, I know there's been some discussion as to what
took you that long,
whether or not
April 11th is my birthday.
Oh, there you go. Mine's April. Happy early birthday. Mine's April 15th. So
it took me that long. Go to the anyways.
Run the tape.
Run the tape.
April 11th is I think it's a Saturday, right? It usually opens on Saturday.
Yep. What time?
Sunrise. 30 minutes before sunrise.
Okay, so same as deer. Well,
it's the same as the opening morning for deer, because the deer starts on the noon on Friday. But anyway, here in North Dakota, we have, it's kind of a diverse place for turkey hunting, in that some parts of the state you have a little bit more of what one might consider like a more eastern style of turkey hunting, not necessarily the subspecies of turkey, but that, like, sitting on a, in the trees on the edge of an ag field, out in the Red River Valley, versus all the way to the west. I mean, you've got what are basically, I would consider, mountain birds and like pure Merriams that are running around the Badlands. There's a lot in between. There's river bottoms and there's open prairies, and so it's a pretty interesting place to hunt. It's difficult because outside of the reservations, there are no non-resident tags that I am aware of that are available.
Raffle tags.
Right, if there's raffles,
tags,
yeah. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like putting in for a draw or buying some, I mean, there's no over-the-counter turkey tags even for residents. It's all lottery here. So it's an exciting year, exciting time. I have a little bit of vendetta against the turkeys this year, because last year I finally ended up paying attention enough to get my second tag, and then I didn't shoot a single bird because of a series of unfortunate events. But so I want to change that this year.
Yeah. So what tags did you guys get? Do you get a tom and a hen, or do you just get
bearded wild turkey?
Just bearded wild turkey.
Yes.
That's it.
So it's kind of
you
like,
can't shoot hens.
What's that?
You can't shoot hens
if they have a beard, you can.
Visible beard.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's kind of like deer in the sense that you have an antler deer versus an antlerless deer, rather than a male sex deer and a female sex deer, because there are those. I think there might be other reasons for this, but there are those rare occasions where you get an animal that has the traits of the opposite sex.
Mm.
So, whether it's a button buck, that you can't tell from a certain distance, or you're not sure, or an antlered doe, which is incredibly rare in most places, but still a possibility. Like, how are you going to tell?
Yeah.
And with turkeys, I mean, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to tell the difference between the sex, whether or not they have a beard. Like, you could tell that a bearded hen is a bearded hen, very quickly, generally, just if nothing else from the size, but there's a number of different indications. But yeah, I mean, it's the same concept in that, like, as long as it has that, the equivalent to the antlers on a deer, it has that like physical feature that allows you to harvest that animal, tag that animal. So, but yeah,
and even out east where the bird numbers, I mean, is there anywhere where you can shoot hens that you're aware of, or is that just
Not
kind
in
of
the
across
spring.
the board?
Not in the spring.
Not in the spring.
I believe in Montana you can.
Mm.
I think there are tags in some places where you can. I would have to double check on that, so don't quote me on it. But I believe you can get. It's kind of like they have like B tags for deer, where they're called B tags, but they're just doe tags for certain units. I believe they have a very similar thing for turkeys.
Hmm.
Some places you can shoot hens. Yeah, I was never interested in it, but I remember something about that.
Fall season, you can shoot hens.
What's the eating like? Can you tell the difference?
No.
But I mean, between
I don't think so.
I don't know that I've.
Between a tom and a hen.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever eaten a hen. I mean, I guess the ones we grew, but they taste different because they're domestic. So
You've had hens, but you're probably too young to remember.
yeah.
I just quit fall hunting.
Well, I was gonna let it play out.
Turns out I got a ton of questions now. This is what I thought was going to happen.
Fire
Yeah,
away.
or you just, like,
Well, okay, shot
Let Gentry warm
size.
up.
What kind of shells are you shooting?
It kind of depends. I would say it can vary anywhere between 5s and 9 shot.
Seriously?
We generally will shoot one of 3 things. It's either a 5, 6, 7 blend, a 7-9 blend, or a 9 shot, like just straight 9 shot.
No kidding.
I think those are the 3 that we will. I think we've leaned a little more towards the 7-9 and the 9 in years past. But like heavy shot, some of those brands that have like 3.5-inch turkey, like a lot of those will be like 5, 6, 7 blend as well.
So you're not shooting like an F or a T or something like that. You'd be shooting geese or something.
No. It's you want a tight pattern, and since tungsten came around, which I can't even remember how long ago that was, that's when shot size started getting really small.
But it's difference,
1.5 times denser than lead, I believe. And so, with an extra full turkey choke, it's almost like shooting.
That's the key there.
A gun.
You got an extra full.
A gun. It's almost like shooting a single projectile because it doubled the range basically, for the most part, of effective harvest. So,
you want to explain the choke?
He's probably better at doing that. Extra full choke is just, it basically restricts the pattern. So you have like improved cylinder. Cylinder, when the shot comes out, it basically spreads immediately, almost immediately. It's what, Gentry uses over there so that he can
He
can hit a duck in a
always uses my choke.
I use
15-foot, radius circle.
I use a long range choke. I use one of the ones that sticks out of your barrel. Yeah. So a full, I think it's like.
You don't shoot full of ducks.
I think I do.
Why?
Because
he's a dang good shot. That's why.
It kills them.
Half the time, Matt, I'm not decoying these birds down to where they're, their legs down in the spread. I'll be the first to say I take a lot of passing shots that are, out at the further ranges.
Oh, you're a skybuster.
No, okay. I'm not. I'm not sky blasting. There's a difference.
It's because it's because he's picking out heads. He's head shooting all these.
Oh
ducks. Yeah. He's like, I don't want any meat.
Bands, not heads. Bands.
Or yeah.
Then he's letting them land. That one's got a band.
Yeah.
When the birds circle 3 times and they're not wanting to land on the 4th pass, there's a certain time where you gotta make your choice.
Hey, you shoot it on the ground with a full choke, and you're like, well, it was a green head.
Yeah.
It's not anymore. That's funny.
So okay, that I suppose you combine the choke with those higher shot sizes because as a strictly upland bird hunter, I'm thinking the higher you go, you're going for doves and the higher the number, the smaller the bird you're going after. Well, that
not if it's like tungsten. It's like pepper, but it's incredibly effective.
Have they been how long have they been mixing shot size like that?
Oh, blends?
Yeah.
They've been doing it longer than I've been alive, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
For all kinds of different. I know they have upland blends and waterfowl blend like that. They have a blend for basically anything. You go
so the first time I saw that was when you were looking at when we were buying steel shot.
The first time I heard about it was to do with waterfowl, like steel shot. But
that's a shock.
I don't turkey hunt.
No, I know.
That's the point of this episode, isn't it?
So
Absolutely.
Shot size, just because we can't assume that everybody. So the lower the number, the larger the pellet.
It's kind of like hooks in fishing.
Yep.
And then you have your letters. There's T, there's F. I'm pretty sure F's illegal now.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Because my buddy found some in
ball bearings
in his dad's old
we might
cardboard box of
it's
shells.
legal to possess.
I don't think it's legal
to hunt with.
Yeah, to hunt with.
Okay.
I don't think it's legal to shoot at a game species.
And then you got Bs, double Bs, triple Bs.
Oh yeah,
buckshot, all those things.
Slugs.
Where does buckshot fit in? Anybody know?
Big.
I think it's like its own, I think it's its own thing.
It's its own
Probably
thing.
the step after slugs.
Yeah. That was a big thing to use deer hunting when I was a kid back east.
Yeah, I've only ever seen we have some really old rounds of buckshot that's but the shot doesn't look that big.
No, I mean
anyways,
your Uncle Rob killed a deer with last one I saw killed with buckshot.
Well, yeah, I think shotguns for deer hunting were a little more popular. And I mean, there's still places where you have to use them, but a lot of people just shoot slugs. But I think they were a little more popular back in the day. I don't know exactly why, but I would say most of the buckshot applications I hear about now are home defense.
Yeah.
So, stopping power and all that jazz. So,
well, restricting people to using shotguns or muzzleloaders it's a safety issue.
Oh yeah,
there's dense populations or something, and so you don't want
in some places
traveling very far.
There's absolutely reason to.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't disagree. Whether it's muzzleloaders or it's some kind of not a high powered rifle.
By the way, if you haven't bought your tungsten steel, go buy it because it's about to go up dramatically in price.
Why is that? Any reason?
They're saying tariffs. Because a lot of it is processed in China, I guess. And so they're talking about what a box right now is of the TSS, which we shoot. It's like $45 for 5 rounds. That's
No kidding.
Apparently going to go to $100.
Dang.
That's what it was before. Now it's double.
That's why we don't target shoot with this stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you guys decide you want to try turkey hunting and we go
like,
and we go shoot guns,
Yeah.
you're
There
not
is
going
still
to be
extra
shooting
tags.
TSS.
I
Yeah.
looked.
There is.
I looked on Monday.
I guess that kind of makes me look silly for calling Game and Fish 3 minutes after they opened up.
I
And there's
looked
still
on-
extra tags a week and a half later, or a week later. That's all right, though. I
Proud of
was
your
excited.
craft. That's
Oh, yeah,
good.
it's
The
exciting.
only one I looked at was the river unit, and that was gone by noon on the what was it? Like the Thursday, or the day after it was supposed to open. When it actually did.
Thursday was the day it actually did open.
Yeah, when it
was
actually did
supposed to
open,
open last Wednesday.
It was gone within 4 hours.
Yeah.
That unit. If they had any extras, but
Anyway, one thing I was gonna mention earlier that I just remembered is that, in my opinion,
Taking notes.
the turkey season here starts too early.
Agreed.
I think that it should be pushed back at least a week. Even 2 wouldn't be that bad. It's a fairly long season. It's like 5 weeks, I believe, 6 weekends.
Hmm.
So, which is nice. I mean, I'm happy about that. You know, it'd be tough if it was only like deer season 2 weeks, 3 weekends, because sometimes the birds just don't cooperate. But the weather here can stay so cold and snowy and whatnot and often it does into mid-April. And the birds are very, like, at least from our experience, very weather susceptible in terms of the way that they kind of go about their, like, kind of the stages of courting and breeding throughout the season. I would say, like, deer and turkeys may be this way too. I don't know. He probably knows, but deer, I know, like, their rut is based on the amount of daylight. For 99% of it is impacted by the amount of daylight. So whether it's 50 degrees or 20, 30 below, give or take a couple days, like, the rut's going to start in the same, usually 3 to 5 day period every year. With turkeys, I don't exactly know if it's based on sunlight per se, but it seems like it can vary a lot more than that. Like, they could even start, like, a few years ago, we had that big blizzard in April. They could even start behaving like they're ready to breed, and, you know, the hens are starting to be receptive and, like, maybe even thinking about going to nest if you have warm, you know, early April. And then you get 3 feet of snow drop down you in the middle of April, and it's like everything resets a month, you know, back into winter. So I don't know, you know, that's a question I guess I have for you is, do you know if they're breeding, kind of their, you know, rut per se is based on daylight, or if it's just,
As far as I remember, yeah, it's mostly based on daylight. Because
Sure.
you remember what happens when the daylight gets similar in the fall. You know, like when we went duck hunting and we were walking in on opening day, and I said, "Wouldn't it be fun?"
oh
if we heard a
yeah.
turkey
Well, yeah,
call?"
we like called those birds in on our deer hunting spot and on occasion
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that makes sense. I
I
mean,
think it's mainly that way, but you're right. It can reset because, you know, we've seen it where they're starting to break up. Because they usually in the wintertime, they're in big flocks, right? And then as it gets warmer in the spring, they'll start breaking up, competition between gobblers and stuff, and they'll start splitting up and scattering back out.
Kind of like deer do. They have to stick in bachelor groups versus, you know, when it's not the rut breeding time.
Yeah, toms are usually together.
Toms are usually okay.
but they're not generally separate from the hens.
Oh,
Like,
so
sometimes you'll see them that they will be, but, like, it's rare, at least from my experience in the beginning, like that, you know, end of summer with deer, to see like a bunch of bucks, like one of those bachelor groups with a bunch of does. Usually they're almost exclusively separate.
Mm-hmm.
With turkeys, when it's cold, like that preseason, a lot of times they'll just all be together. The toms might kind of be over on this side of the group and the hens be scattered out the whole rest of the field or whatever. But a lot of times they'll be kind of all hanging out in the same vicinity. You know, I've seen groups of 6 or 7 toms that were off on their own and it didn't appear to be any hens around. But generally it's like a mob, you know. And then as that season progresses, you'll start to see a lone hen or a few hens in a group and there won't be anybody with them. Or you'll see, you know, you'll hear a bird gobble off in the distance a little later in the morning and you just hear one bird. You'll start to see things like that. Like they're starting, as the day goes on, you know, they'll start to break up and as the days go on, like the season, but also as like a given day goes on, they'll usually, like when they're kind of that in between, they'll start out, a lot of times they'll be roosted in kind of a glob somewhere. And then when they hit the ground, they'll kind of start going their separate ways. And as the day goes on, they'll be off on their own. But then as the season progresses even more, you have them roosting all over the place, like not in these big, communities, but like you'll have that same group of birds might be stretched out over 2 miles of timber.
Yes, because when they're all together, you can't even hardly distinguish one bird from the next when they start gobbling.
Right.
So it's pain. You don't
No,
like that
it's
business.
it's awesome. It's
entertaining.
It's really entertaining, but normally you're kind of like you're trying to listen. Is that, are they answering or are they shock gobbling or, what are they doing? Are they responding to you or are they responding to something else?
So when they're in big, do you ever hunt when they're at that time when they're grouped up together like that?
Oh yeah,
Big
sometimes
groups?
that happens here.
I shot a bird on April 12th one year in the snow. I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 below zero, which is like, if you told somebody from even the mid region of the country, but especially the South, that you, number one, killed a bird in the snow, but killed one below zero temperatures, like they'd be like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could do that before because we never had really snow like persist into the season in the northeast part of the country. But yeah, I mean, I killed that bird. I called in, there was a group of 3 toms that came off the back end of one of those mobs. Like there was probably 100 birds, 75 to 100 birds that were they flew down and they were just all kind of feeding out in this meadow together. And there was 3 toms that came off the back end and they came right into like 20 yards as the group was kind of starting to move off.
No kidding.
And I picked one out, knocked him down, but that was the only time I've successfully pulled birds off of like a huge mob like that. Usually it does not work.
It's not. Well, the one thing I would wonder, when you get a herd of deer, and I've been blessed or cursed, you might want to say, when you have that many deer together, you have that many more eyes, and usually you get busted. You're not doing a sneak on that many deer. So is that kind of the same thing with turkey, or you're not moving anyways? So you're kind of. Because do you spot and stock with turkeys, or is it really just your spot, you're sitting there? Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So both.
I would say here
we don't really. It's not necessarily spot and stock because, at least for me, because I don't really want to just sneak up on a bird and shoot it.
That's not fun, or what?
Well, yeah, because I want to see the bird come in gobbling and strut.
Oh, okay.
And
The show.
That's the appeal of the show.
Oh,
And
there
so,
it
I've been frustrated at times where I'd really like to do that. But, yeah, I mean, so you're moving on birds. You scout out a roost or roosts, maybe watch the birds, see what they're doing, go set up on them in the morning. Obviously, you're calling to them sometimes hard, sometimes not. And, the hope is you pull the birds to you. But if maybe that setup doesn't work out, then we do what we call running and gunning, meaning we're going to go strike a bird. In other words, we're going to take off and try to get a bird to gobble at us. Because the later in the day that a bird responds to you, the likelihood of you harvesting that bird goes up dramatically.
But the chance of finding a bird that will respond to you throughout the day goes down, just like most other types of hunting. The closer you get to that, high sun heat of the day, the animals generally, their activity levels, or at least their responsiveness, goes down. So that's kind of why, is like if you can get a bird to gobble at 11 p.m. when there's a high of 60 degrees that day or something like that, or any day for that matter.
11 a.m.
Or 11 a.m. Sorry, yes, good catch. If you could get a bird to gobble at 11 a.m.
So your thermals is what we're doing.
right, yeah. But no, that we generally say that they're just like fired up at that point. Like if they respond. I mean, the bird that I've called in the furthest from first striking was at like 11 or 11:30 in the morning.
In the rain.
Yeah, it was like overcast, just got done raining, and that bird came in from, I believe we figured it was close to a mile and a half, or close to a mile.
0.91 miles.
Yeah, and crossed a river in the process. Flew across the river, so that was one of those situations where it's like we basically all we had to do was keep the bird interested and just wait for him to get there.
Huh.
But again, it was one of the you're generally not going to see that like right off the roost because those hens haven't gone to nest yet. They're out feeding, they're hanging out, so they're like we don't have to go very far to find a lady. But when all those hens kind of leave and go for their nests and their naps and they kind of disappear for the middle of the day, those birds, a lot of times younger birds, will be like desperate.
So, and the other thing is with turkey hunting, you're doing the reverse of nature. Okay. So hens go to toms in nature. Tom gobbles, hey, here I am, strutting, etc., all that stuff. So in nature, the hen goes to the tom.
Really?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're pulling the tom to the hen.
Yeah.
Because we're making hen sounds. Some people gobble and stuff. I've never really had any success with it. So, but yeah, we're doing the opposite of nature. And so, yeah, it's a little different what we're doing, and so that adds a little bit of the complexity to it, a little more challenge to it. So, but it's like anything else, scout. If you don't have time to scout, then you decrease your likelihood or chances.
What are you looking for in a spot?
That was going to be one of my questions.
Sorry.
Well, no, I got many.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Where there's turkeys. North Dakota's a little strange, right? Because there's not just turkeys everywhere.
Yeah, like what do you...
What I mean is all over. So, timber, creek bottoms, things like that.
But you're looking for somebody who just mentioned, turkeys everywhere, like you just, like if you were going to hunt out west or somewhere you've never hunted before, how do you start?
Depends on where you're at, right? I mean, I hunted in Idaho, I don't know if that's like 5 years ago or something like that. And we're in the mountains. We're in a, pine forest basically. And it was like pine, spruce, fir, whatever. And it was like, where do we go?
Yeah.
And so literally as we're driving to this guy's house, he said, I've been seeing some birds here, and pulled off the side of the road, and he's got a box call. It sounds awful. I mean, it's just the most awful sounding thing in the world, but kills turkeys. He hit that thing and there were birds gobbling all around us. And I would have never known to stop there.
Yeah.
In that type of area. But you need nesting cover. So there's a lot of timber harvest out there and so on. So you've got young forest, very young, couple year clear cuts and stuff like that, where there'd be a lot of insects and roosting habitat and water, all of those things. And so it's a little easier in the eastern half of the United States, I would guess. For me anyway, it's like, you're driving down the road and it's like, there should be turkeys right there. So, I mean, one of the best spots that we have that we've probably hunted the most was literally, there should be turkeys there. And there were a lot of turkeys there. So, but then we'll find them sometimes that are kind of odd.
Yeah, I would say very similar to big game. Not most of the hunting is not, but in terms of finding them from my perspective, is I would categorize them as fringe animals. Like, they need that nesting cover, they need roost trees, and if you're in a solid forest that goes on for miles and miles, you could absolutely find turkeys. That's not to say they won't be there. But a lot of, like, where you're going to find, elk, deer, bears, things like that, they like to be, at least where you can see them, is on the edges of change. Like if you have trees and then a field. or, a bunch of heavy timber with meadows, like you're going to have a pretty good chance to get on birds around that meadow. They're going to congregate, especially in those mornings and evenings, to places where they can be out in the open, depending on weather. But a lot of times, like, whether it's out east in, like the eastern part of the country or eastern part of the state, you find heavy timber and then an ag field or somewhere where they can eat. There's, whether it's bugs or, some kind of grain or something like that. So they like those types of areas. And then, if it were me, like if we're talking Western North Dakota, going out to the Badlands, which I would love to do to turkey hunt. I think we've done it once, kind of Badlands, but not quite. I would start at the river bottoms. I would drive down. What I would do is either in the early morning or the evening, right around the time the sun comes up or down, I would go down to the river bottoms and I would call. Just anything, any sound that you can get to come out. The closer it sounds to a turkey, the better, but you could probably get them to gobble. There's, you can owl hoot. You can do crow calls. You can do, in the South, they call it hog whistles, which I've never done, but they get a lot of birds to light up that way. There's a series of different, things you can do. But it's finding birds. I think it's one of the easiest types of scouting because you just go to places where you think there might be birds. You don't even have to leave the vehicle. In a lot of cases, you just make some noise, a turkey noise, or one of those other kind of locating sounds.
Blow your horn.
Or even, blow your horn. See if the birds respond, because that's a pretty good indicator. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. For those who don't know, there's the shock gobble that we've been talking about. It's just kind of like a reflex. It's pretty self-explanatory. Something loud happens, or something unusual in terms of like a sound, like a gate slamming shut. It may not sound that loud, but like it's a different sound,
Mm-hmm.
The birds will gobble to that. Usually the younger the bird is, the more likely they're to do it. But like you can drive down the street and roll down your window and go, hey, at a group of birds, and they probably just gobble right at you. I always thought it was shot gobble because they gobble after you shoot when you're hunting, because it's, again, a loud noise.
Yeah.
But then I was actually watching a Meat Eater episode. I was watching the subtitles that were on, and they said shock gobble, and I was like, has it always been that? In fact, it has. So
yeah, so when you're driving down the road, there's birds here in Bismarck on the river and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And about, they're probably gobbling already. They were gobbling this morning, I about guarantee you, on the roofs. So if you see some toms, so those beards, or a bird strutting, just roll your window down. If it's safe, lay on your horn once.
Even just a tap. You don't even have to just be quick. They'll just, yeah.
You'll see, and if you can't hear them, you'll see their heads come out and then come back. So, yes. But you're not going to call them in with a shock gobble. It's just, that's a locating thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The owl hooting's located, crow call, things like that. Those are just to locate. I mean, they'll gobble in the spring when things are right. They gobble at everything. Pheasant crowing.
Canadian geese is a big one.
Any of those things.
Canada geese, I should say.
Beaver whacking its tail.
Yep.
Things like that. They'll shock gobble to it. So
they'll gobble to each other.
Wound up. Yep.
Especially early in the season, like if a bird gobbles for whatever reason, like shock gobbles, down this way because a car slammed a door, and then, half a mile in the opposite direction, a bird might gobble after that one gobbles. Not after the car door slams, but because that one didn't hear the car, it heard that gobble though. So they just get on each other, and it's pretty entertaining.
That's what's fun, because they'll just get gobbling at each other and in the mornings and stuff when things are really good. But the one of the interesting thing is you go to a spot and there's just birds gobbling. Like, I don't know, we've had days where we're not really sure how many birds we heard gobble, because there's birds gobbling all around us. You can go back there the next day and hear 2 or 3 gobbles. That's it. And so there's been a theory for a long time that birds gobble every other day. So it's like they got hoarse from gobbling so much today, so they're not going to gobble. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever actually heard that.
Yeah, there's this thing that they gobble every other day, but I can't go along with that just because there have been days where we've hunted the same spot day after day, and they're gobbling really hard, So I think it's more about timing, and they say there's like 2 gobbles, so early. As the hens are starting to get ready, they gobble really hard. Then they get heavy into breeding, so they don't have to gobble as much because they're with the hens, roosting with the hens. They a lot of times they'll wait. The toms will fly down, the hens will come down behind them, and then sometimes the hens fly down and the toms pitch down behind them. But so you get like a peak gobble, and then it kind of slows down, and then it peaks again towards the end of that breeding cycle. And then when hens start going to the nest, like what a hen will do is she will breed with, could be several different toms, multiple times. And then she'll go, once she starts laying eggs, she'll go lay 1 egg a day. And you'll start to notice it when it's happening a lot, because when you can see a big group of birds, they come down out of the roost, and you'll see single hens just start walking off, like totally disinterested, just turn around and just leave. And then all of a sudden the group starts getting really small, and that's when toms can become very vulnerable, because they'll gobble really hard, they'll get down with their hens, they may not say too much. Then around 8 a.m. or so, something like that, 7:30, most of those hens may have gone, and you hit them with a call, and it's like, hey, there's ladies over there, so they come in.
Dig off.
And then they'll start, once they start nesting, incubating, it's like the hens don't really make any sound. Hens can make so much noise. It's unbelievable how much they talk sometimes.
And how far away you can hear them from.
Yeah.
Like when they're close to you, they make these soft little yelps and sounds and everything. And some of that vocalization you miss at a distance. But like you could hear hens sometimes that you can see them and they're like half a mile away, but just they're on a hill, or they're, whether it's they're up in a tree, early in the morning, and you can hear them yelping, and it's just like clear as day. Like you'd think they were 100 yards away, and they're 1,000 or something like that. It's the weirdest thing. The turkey sounds can travel so well for like not being super loud. It's unusual.
We do a lot of tricks too. We try to make the tom think a hen flew down. So if you think about their wings, when they fly down, it's pretty loud. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we'll, cut, like yelp, cut, and then like that. Yeah. Just like a bird flying out of a tree.
Yeah.
And the best thing in the world is you hear the same noise. Right after you do that, and it's like, oh, we might have just got somebody's attention. So there's a lot of little things that we try, and I mean, I wouldn't say we're the best at it, because I know a lot of guys that are just amazing callers, but we stick with what works. So
one of mine was going to be, I guess, how weather, Rye already kind of talked about, but how like weather dependent are they? Not just like cold versus warm, but like clouds, sun, rain, all that stuff. Because every type of bird I've hunted, not just like waterfowl or upland or whatever, they're definitely dependent to an degree on what the situation is weather-wise.
He killed 110 below in like 6 inches of fresh snow because I stayed home that day. He also was, before he was actually, no, you were shooting at that point, right? In New York,
in the rain,
in the pouring rain.
That was the first day I ever hunted where I was like, had a gun in my hand.
And he wanted to go, and it's just pouring rain, and I'm like, yeah, okay, because it was like
first day I ever turkey hunted, I should say,
mile up the road, and so we went up and went in and set up on these birds. These birds were going absolutely nuts, these two toms. And they came in on dead run.
And I missed at 12 yards.
Oh.
It was raining so hard that we actually, when we set up that morning, we set up underneath a cedar tree just to try to protect ourselves from the rain a little bit, because it was literally torrential rain.
I don't remember the rain.
You don't remember the rain?
I remember that it was raining. It just doesn't really stick out to me. I just remember that bird standing there and me shooting, and then it still standing there and then gobbling when it was 12 yards away. I missed so bad.
Up killing the bird?
No, I shot a bird later that year, but yeah, no, I missed that one.
Well, they split on him. I mean, so if you're a new hunter, right? Their eyesight is so acute, it's unbelievable, because that's the thing you really got to beat.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily sound so much.
And they can't smell, so
they can't smell, but their eyesight is just so acute. And if you're a new turkey hunter, he'd been with me when we shot birds before, when I shot birds, but they came up. We figured they were going to come up this old logging road, and in the Northeast, there's stone walls everywhere. Because that's how they kept their sheep in.
Yep.
They built these stone walls that are like 6-7 feet tall. Now they're crumbled and laying, and a lot of times you can barely see them and stuff. But the birds are coming up the logging road, and it's like, oh, this is going to be right here in our lap. This is going to be perfect. But when they got 30 yards away, they split.
Yeah, and they were like
one went
around
behind the stone wall,
so I couldn't have shot. Yeah.
And so it's like, the bird, if I remember right, was just to his left. He had to position the gun. I'm like, point your gun a little bit to the left behind that this big tree in front of us, and the bird went behind it, so he moved. When the bird came out, is when he shot, and the other bird's standing right here. Well within range.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was just one of those things that's really hard. I got to tell this because it's the funny thing in the world. The first time he ever went turkey hunting with me when I had a gun, we're hunting the same farm. And I went up there. He wanted to go turkey hunting so bad. So we go up there and we get set up. This bird's where he's supposed to be, gobbling like crazy. And I'm like, we may have something going on here. And I tell him, like, don't move. Because he's like, I don't know, 7 years old or something. And I'm like, don't move, just this bird's coming. And the bird's, he's going up, he's following a field road, and he's in the timber, and he's coming up, and he's coming to us. And decoys are out here in this little corner of this field, and bird's coming. I mean, he's just doing everything right. I mean, he's gobbling, he's answering right. He'd hit me, he'd gobble, I'd shut up and wait and let him free gobble, meaning he's now looking for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd let him free gobble a couple of times, and I'd come back and hit him again, and he'd get really wound up, and he was double, triple gobbling and stuff coming in. And anyway, typically the birds would come into that little corner of that field and go right to the decoys. And Reyer's sitting right here. We're
right
touching.
Yeah.
He's sitting right here so he could see what was going on. And anyway, the bird, instead of going to the decoys, it cut along the edge of the field, and I couldn't shoot because it's all brush. I ended up shooting him, I don't know, from 8 yards, something like that. He was so close. And, stoned him, and I'm like, smack him. I'm like, dude, wasn't that awesome? And he's got his... He's got his hands over his face like this. And he's like, can I look? And I'm like, you didn't see that? He didn't see anything because I told him not to move and not, to, be talking and this and that and the other thing. And so he didn't even see it. And so we kill the bird and we go home, and he's like, can we go hunting tomorrow? And I'm like, dude, it's Mother's Day. I am not asking your mother if we can go turkey hunting tomorrow.
But you can.
And he said, he goes, can I? And I said, you want to go ask her? You go right ahead. And so he went in, and I think Pam's response was, as long as you're back by like 9:30 or something like that. And I told him, I said, that's the only place I got. The other spots, there's just no birds. And he goes, can we go anyway? And I'm like, yeah, we can go. I go, we'll go up for a little bit. I mean, we're not going to kill a bird, but we'll go up. And a bird's gobbling in a total opposite direction from quite a distance away. And I don't know. I think both mornings we were back home by like 7:30 or something like that.
Yeah, the second morning was faster, I believe.
But he got to see that second morning. He got to see the whole thing. I had
that
to
was
wait
like
for that
we
bird.
like got out of the pickup and heard the bird gobbling, and we like basically he was like, "Oh crap, this is gonna happen fast." So we like scurried over like I don't even know, probably I don't know, a quarter mile into the woods or whatever, and he's just like, "We're gonna set up right here," and I swear it was maybe 5 minutes after we sat down, the bird was there and he was dead. It was like I think we were at the guy's property for like maybe a total of half an hour. It was so fast, it was insane.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it was pretty exciting. That was a lot of fun doing it. But I guess I have a question for you guys, and that would be, what would you say? Like, obviously, I'm assuming the main reason you don't turkey hunt is probably, or you haven't, is lack of exposure to it.
Walleye fishing.
Okay.
Where are we bringing?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's the best time of year to
I should have probably just asked it instead of making the assumption. I didn't even. That shows you my priorities. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, you are missing out.
Some states you can, right?
Right.
Anyways, it's a good question.
Well, I was going to ask, what is the main thing that keeps you from going turkey hunting? But I think I just got my answer.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go first.
I
Your
just
answer
answered.
will be quick.
Yeah, that's it. This is
I definitely
hard water season. That's what it said.
well, hard water seasons. I like to fish for the spawning walleye as soon as the water comes off, because I have friends who have boats.
The water comes off or the ice comes off?
Ice comes off.
There you go.
Another good catch, just like 11 p.m.
That's what I'm here for, buddy.
But no, like literally, other than you guys, I think I know a grand total of like maybe 2 people who like actually seriously turkey hunt. So I guess I never grew up with it. Well, I guess I never grew up with waterfowling, so that's not a valid argument. But I never grew up with it. I don't know really anybody who does it. I wouldn't know the first thing about it. If I wanted to, I could I'd figure it out over the course of like 5 seasons or something, but there'd be a lot of trial and error in there and, learning experiences, but
I'm still trying to figure it out. And I've been doing it since I was 25.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you'd have I think you have a bigger head start than me.
That was one thing I was going to say in response to your question about weather is like, there's like things that are somewhat agreed upon in terms of how but it's very hard to like have a consistent pattern. Like with deer, it's like, oh, if the wind's blowing pretty good, like it's probably going to suck 9 times out of 10. Yeah. Turkeys, like that's probably the only thing I would say is like pretty consistent is if the wind's really blowing,
Is that just because
they're not
sound, like can't hear? Or they just
I think they just don't. They just hunker down like everything else. I mean, everything that isn't waterfowl, because that's the waterfowler thing. Is that you got a windy day, and usually you're the only one that's got a good reason to go out.
Yeah, there's definitely limits to that.
Well, I mean, if it's blowing
like
60 miles an hour, no. But
generally, you want to win.
But like, we've had great days in the rain. We've had great days when it was not a cloud in the sky. Mm-hmm. We've had, I would say, snow on the ground is really, really tough. Not as much because they're not active, but just their behavior is so much different when the snow's on the ground that it's just tough. I mean, I would say that the best is usually like really calm, like high pressure mornings where it's cold, but it warms up a lot throughout the course of the morning and it's like not a lot of clouds in the sky. Either that, like those perfect days like that, or like the still really, really calm, but like those overcast days when there's like, you're getting a light drizzle of rain and it's just like really still. Those are the two. Like the least amount of wind possible, I would say, is your number one friend when it comes to, from my experience. You can hear them better. You also can get away with less because they can hear you better. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because we've had good days. I mean, it's like fishing. You have good days when everybody expects it to be good, and you have terrible days when everybody expects it to be good. So,
by the way, his story about calling the bird across the river, that's a big deal. Like a bird flying across the river coming to you, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, shout out to Woodhaven. That was the first season I had Woodhaven calls,
I told
turkey
Mike.
calls.
That was another one of my next questions. Do you have a favorite like type of call, brand, all that stuff?
Woodhaven. I mean,
there's definitely
there's a lot of styles of turkey calls. I've mostly only used diaphragm calls and slates or pot calls. There are different types of pot calls, but like there's also slate means different things to different people. We would call it a slate anything that's like a circular disc, because originally they had that you hit with like a striker. It almost looks like a pencil that you it's a friction call on that slate, because they originally started out as just being slate, like the actual rock slate was what they used. Now they have crystal and glass and different types of slate, like actual slate, and they have like synthetic slate, like all kinds of different stuff. So it's kind of a catch-all, because I have an actual like slate call that I really like, but I've had good luck with some glass ones before too, and I know a lot of guys really like crystal.
How many turkey calls do you own?
I don't know. Probably I don't have that many. I have probably somewhere between like 5 and 10. Like both between the slates. I have one box call, the slates, and the mouth calls.
Which are the diaphragms?
Yes, the diaphragms are. They look a lot like an elk call. If you've ever seen an elk diaphragm, they don't have that little hood over the reed like the elk ones do. And also, there's single, double, and triple reed for the diaphragm calls. And basically, it's similar to like the reed in a duck call, except it's instead of being like a stiff piece of plastic, it's like
latex.
It's like very thin, like paper thin latex. And so they'll stack those latex reeds, the layers within the call. And usually it's harder to make noise, but it's easier to make different sounds and more complicated sounds and louder sounds, clearer sounds with more reeds.
Yeah, I predator call with double reeded diaphragms.
Right. It's the same. It's even more similar to a predator call than an elk call.
Yeah.
The way that they're made.
Double reed's probably the easiest.
I think single reed's easier to make sound on, but it doesn't sound near as good. Double reed it takes like when I first started with double reed, it was like I thought I knew how to call, but I can't even get this thing to make any noise, you know? But anyway, I mean, it's personal preference. Well,
that's predator calling. You just got to sound.
If you can make sound,
dying.
if you can make sound on any diaphragm, whether it's a predator call, an elk call, a turkey call, you will pick it up very fast. Because I learned turkey calling first, and it took me like probably 2 years of like calling while I'm hunting and practicing before I could actually like sound like, okay, I think I sound pretty decent. But I started elk calling, and granted, you know, I haven't done as much elk hunting. I haven't received the same levels of, you know, instruction and critique, but I found elk calling way easier to pick up for most things. There's certain types of elk calls that I really struggle with, but for the most part, like figuring out a bugle, it took me like probably 20 minutes after I first got. It wasn't a great bugle, but getting that kind of high pitched progression of sound and dropping back off, it was like, oh, this is just like a long drawn out turkey call essentially. Yeah. So if you've ever used a diaphragm call of any kind, you'll pick up turkey calling fast, at least the basics.
Do you ever, this is a ridiculous, funny question. Do you ever like, you know, you're breathing in, right? You got that thing in your mouth and you're breathing in. Do you ever kind of like suck that thing? You're like, ooh, oh, did I, excuse my French.
Oh, there it was.
Do you ever worry about swallowing it?
Bad cuss on the show.
I never have.
I think they're big enough that basically outside of those reeds, there's like a piece of metal that is, or hard plastic. I don't know how everybody makes them. It depends on who you ask, but
yeah, it's
a U-shaped around those reeds that the reeds are basically clamped on into.
Yeah.
and then they take like an athletic tape type material and go around everything except for the reeds, but they go around everything, and there's like a flange that goes around of that tape kind of material that goes around that, a lot like probably the diaphragm predator calls you have.
They have aluminum and they're the same shape.
They're too big for you to swallow in most cases. You can get different sizes of that U-shaped, I don't know what the official term is, but that piece. You can get like ones for a smaller palate that are a little narrower and stuff like that. And you can trim up the outside to like fit your mouth better. I have though, like whether it was like breathing in or something like that, when I've had a call in my mouth, like you can make sound breathing in too.
Yeah.
And I've made some unexpected and weird sounds by like going to talk to somebody or like starting to like yawn or sneeze or something like that. And that thing's in my mouth and I'm just like, whoa, that was not, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah.
Sorry, I had to ask that one every time I see one of those, somebody, because yeah, it's almost like, you know, if you ever played contact sports, like a mouth guard in your mouth, you know, people just sit there and play with them and it's like.
Right.
No, it's I don't know. I mean, maybe at first it's weird.
I was
But
just saying, like
after
the
you
first
do it a lot-
day I was practicing predator calling, it set off my gag reflex like twice. I was
Absolutely.
Like, I was like, dude, I don't
Trim
know.
the back of that. Trim the back of that like athletic tape material. Just cut some of that off.
Oh, I didn't
It'll
know.
solve
you
it
could,
like
I didn't know
that.
you could do that. I just.
Oh yeah, you can trim them down
Mm-hmm.
because the roof of everybody's mouth's different,
Yeah.
right? So
I trimmed
can
almost
trim
every
it.
one I've ever bought. I've trimmed it immediately because I just
To get it
can't
to
handle
fit.
it.
I don't know. I just stopped gagging after like a
You
week or
just toughed
something.
it out.
and you know,
Puked a couple times.
Yeah.
and you put pressure with your tongue against the
Yeah.
call, right?
Yep.
To for different sounds and pitches and stuff like that. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say I've never swallowed it. There's sometimes where I'll spit like everywhere when I'm calling. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I can't say that I've ever done that.
It's like not all at once, but like there'll be a couple like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like
Oh, it makes
it's not
sense.
consistently. It just happens sometimes.
if you're calling a lot,
It depends on the type of and how you're calling too. Like if you're trying, like I would say the inside of a bugle tube after most people let loose a bugle, there's probably some residue in there because you're like the way that it was described to me is if you're trying to make a mean bugle, like you want to be mean. So like, you know, that you picture an elk bugling and it like the veins are popping out on its neck and it's, you know, it's everything's tense and, you know, that's what you kind of see. And that's what you try to emulate. So like when I bugle and I try to like bugle hard, I'll be like, you know, I'll probably look a little constipated or something, like just trying to push it out
Gets
really
in
hard.
that zone.
So I think that helps with some of that, and not as much with turkeys because they don't really have like that same type of variation of any given sound. There's a lot of different vocalizations, but it's not like an elk bugle. Just a bugle can mean a lot of different things because it sounds different ways from the same elk. But like a turkey gobble is a turkey gobble. You know what I mean? You're not going to get a bird that like gobbles one way because he's feels threatened or gobbles another way because he's talking to his ladies. Like it doesn't. That's just gobble's a gobble. Mm-hmm. And same with the hen calls. There's a lot of different calls that mean different things, but like a yelp is a yelp generally. There's some kind of like including other vocalizations mixed in where you can see like the moods changed. Like we say a lot of times we say the hens are ticked off when they're yelp. And then they'll like cut really fast and then yelp, or the yelps will get louder progressively and they'll cut at the end or something. A lot of times they'll be coming to you, or they'll be it just seems kind of like a dominance thing.
well, you have boss hens. You know, you have
Right.
kind of a leader, right? And if you can make her mad, like there's another gal in her
A live decoy.
neighborhood, you know, make her talk to her, like kind of arguing with her. It's kind of fun, and if you can do that, sometimes she'll pull everything. Everybody will come with her.
Yeah.
Because
No
she'll just
kidding.
come stomping in. Like she's mad. Like she just comes stomping in, and everybody and the toms are just like running behind. Like,
Yeah.
where's everybody going? You know.
Yeah, if you go on the YouTube channel,
Plug
if you
the
haven't
YouTube channel.
subscribed yet, just go do that, and then
Strutting hens.
go to the YouTube on the YouTube Shorts or on the Instagram. I believe it's on all the Facebook and everything. We posted a video of 2 strutting hens, which is something that I have only seen that one time. It doesn't happen very often, but they're essentially doing the same things that the toms are, in that they're trying, like when toms are strutting next to each other, and that they're trying to establish dominance.
Yeah.
The toms are simultaneously trying to impress the ladies, like as you see all the National Geographic, like the courting rituals between birds and stuff. So there's part of that too that the hens aren't doing generally when they're strutting. But like these 2 hens in this video are circling each other like shoulder to shoulder, full strut, puffed up. And one of them was a more mature bird, which is another thing I wanted to mention. The other one was less mature. And the way that you can tell whether it's hens or males, toms or jakes, toms being the at least 2-year-old birds, the more mature ones, because like sexual maturity is for a tom turkey, a male turkey is 2 years old, like at the minimum, or the jakes, which are that year and a half or year old, I should say. The main easiest way to tell is that the fan, when it's all spread out when they're strutting, it will be, for a mature bird, whether male or female, the feathers around the extent of the fan will be uniform. They're all the same length. It's one nice, clean, like half circle. With a jake or an immature hen, what you'll see is what's called keystone feathers, where the middle section, it could be wide, it could be just a few feathers, narrow, depends, but the middle section of the feathers will be longer, and then there'll be outside feathers on either side that are shorter. So instead of having a uniform semicircle, you have like that same uniform semicircle in the middle.
Like a plateau.
And then, a hump in the middle, and then on the outside of that, it'll drop down. And that's not 100%. Like there's jakes, like we call them super jakes, that have full fans. So it's a little bit tricky. But like if you see those keystone feathers, that's the one thing that's 100%, is it's always going to be a young bird.
The number one way to tell between a tom and a hen, if they're not strutting, is color.
Oh, between a tom and a hen, yes.
Yeah, because a tom, all their breast feathers, right at the tip of every breast feather, there's a black band. The very tips are jet black. And on a hen, it's a buff color.
So you can tell just by feathers you find on the ground who's left
color.
by.
Like
tan,
brown, beige.
Oh, okay.
really light.
But yeah,
colored.
the way that I
Colors.
notice a lot of times, if they're side by side, it's easy because you can tell by the size, even if the one's not strutting.
Head color is another one.
But the first thing I notice is head color and head shape. For anybody that's seen turkeys, you've probably seen the toms or the jakes online where they've got red, white, or blue, or some combination of the 3 colors.
Which all mean different things.
They have big heads. They have a snood, which can be either erect and short, or it can be like flaccid and long, where it hangs over their nose. If you see the long one, that's never going to be a hen, number one. Only the males can have that. Number 2, their neck, like the skin that's visible, that's colored on their neck, will go almost like down to where like their neck meets their breast almost. Like it goes down pretty far. But with hens will have feathers like almost up to the base of their head. So they have a lot less exposed skin. Their heads are smaller, and they're just gray. They don't change color to near the extent of the males. That's the first, other than size of the bird, that's the first thing I notice, is that the head shape and color.
But the best part is that it's bearded, right? So it's got to have a beard, whether it's this long, if you can see it, because sometimes they'll just be like a jake, just this much sticking straight out, of a beard. And then, obviously adult toms usually have a hanging beard. So it's pointed down.
I think I know the answer to this. When you're shooting, where are you shooting at the bird?
The head.
Base of the wattles.
Being
where the feathers start or stop, or the skin starts.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you shoot at the head, they get half the pattern. Right?
Yeah.
So, if you're shooting at their head and your pattern's this big, they're getting the bottom half of your pattern. But if you shoot them in the base of the wattles, then they're getting, probably 3/4 of it or more.
You have a little higher chance for getting pellets in the meat because you're going to have some stray pellets. But also, it's just like anything else. To an extent, it does depend on the distance and how, how you decide to shoot is one thing. But, we start there with those closer shots, 25 yards usually and inside. And then as that range extends out to, probably with TSS, you can ethically shoot a bird with a 12 gauge for sure, probably even a 20 gauge at 60 yards.
Probably farther.
Yeah. I'm sure it's been done. In fact, I know it's been done. Yeah. But out to those different ranges, that aiming point moves up, because like a bullet in a similar sense, the pattern is going to drop. It's going to lose velocity. And so, if I'm shooting a bird at 45 yards, I'm probably going to put the bead right on his head. Because that pattern, by the time I get out there, it is going to drop a little bit. And so then it's probably still going to be getting 3/4 of the pattern because it's going to, theoretically, the pattern's going to end up in the same place as it did when I was holding on the base of the neck at 25 yards.
So if you went, next year you decide, hey, I'm going to get a turkey tag, go try this,
Still time this year.
We would basically be like, you're going to shoot, you put the bead right here. Right? Because we want you to kill the bird.
Yeah.
Now, if it's me shooting, depending on the range and everything, even if it's relatively close, I might go up here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to ruin any meat.
Yeah.
But I know that they're only going to get part of the pattern. I know they're not getting all of it.
Yeah.
But that's the danger too with the TSS is you have such a tight pattern.
You don't
want at close. 10, 15 yards, you're basically looking at a baseball sized pattern. So it's however many pellets are in there. You could legitimately decapitate a bird with the pellets of a shell, like a TSS shell at 10 yards. So that's another thing to keep in mind is you still need to try to make sure. So if it's really close, I'm probably going to put the bead down right in the middle of the neck rather than at the base or the top of the head because I want to have as much room for error as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that way if I miss a little high, I'm not, missing over top of the head, or if I miss a little low, I'm not taking the entire front of the bird off.
Yeah.
If I vary a little bit, left and right's another story. You can't really do much about that. But if I miss a little high or low, I'm still going to be, Archery is a whole different thing.
That's going to be my next question.
They have decapitated, which is a whole different. You have to slow your bow down, whether it's not usually draw length, but you reduce the poundage of your bow to shoot decapitating broadheads. The guillotine broadheads. They're basically really wide blade broadheads.
I'm gonna have to look this up, but you should, do the cool thing where
I've seen them.
Put a picture.
Yeah,
of that
I can do that.
I kind of want to know what they are.
You can watch a video that'll show
There's
you.
There's a lot of videos.
Video after video,
graphic versions of that.
25 in 5 minutes.
But yeah, they'll slow down their bows and shoot with.
They're
they're legitimately 3-4 inches wide at some of them.
Jeez.
But they'll put on what's called flu on the back of the arrow in place of regular fletching because it's wider and it has more drag, so it helps stabilize that big broadhead. That's the issue with why you generally will have to turn your bow down and make it slower is because the faster it's going, the harder it is to control the flight of the arrow. Especially the bigger the broadhead you have, the harder it is to control the flight of the arrow. So when you put something on there like that, you can't shoot accurately at the 300 feet per second that you might be shooting with a small fixed blade or a mechanical broadhead because it's just going to waffle or it's going to tail or it's going to plane or the arrow's going to go. It's going to do a different thing every time. So that's the way that some people do it. There's incredibly little room for. Turkeys in general with archery, there's very small room for error. Shooting those guillotine broadheads or whatever they're called there's incredibly low room for error. You generally want to be very close. yeah, I mean, you can hit just the side of that blade against the head or the neck, and generally the turkey's gonna go down. But you have to hit within that 3 or 4 inches of that blade, or else, it's just clean miss. Nothing happens, and it's not cheap. Those TSS loads may be $20 a piece now, but you're spending probably more than that if you're slinging arrows with guillotine broadheads at decent arrows at turkeys. So that's something to keep in mind. I have not done that. I haven't shot a turkey at all with my bow. It's one of my goals this year. But the other option, which
Same
is
tag.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Yeah, it's not.
The other option that I'm more comfortable with is shooting more of a traditional setup, whether it be a smaller fixed blade or a hybrid, like a fixed mechanical or just a mechanical. I think with a lot of things you can't go wrong, but shooting for body shots. And I haven't done this, so I'm not an expert on it by any means, but generally the idea is that if the bird, you can view the side of the bird like broadside, if you will. There's a bronze bar on the wing that you can see whether the bird is standing normally or strutting. And in any given circumstance, if you put the arrow in that bronze bar, that bird's going down. What happens is you hit vital organs, generally lungs, but you also will break the legs of the bird because that bronze bar sits pretty low, and so you're hitting kind of like bottom of the lungs, like heart area, and you're breaking the legs. And the quintessential body shot turkey, which is the best thing you could ever see if you're archery hunting, they'll actually, and it happens so often, it's crazy. You hit them there, they will do a backflip, and they won't move. That arrow will hit him. The turkey his head will tuck in, and he will do a full backflip, and he will land on the ground and flop a little bit and stuff. But every single time, if you see that backflip, it's done. It is an incredible thing. Kinda, yeah. Except they don't keep running. Yeah, they just stop. It is. I've watched videos of just that because it's fascinating. Like if you can get over the fact that it's something dying, if that doesn't bother you or whatever, which it is still that, but. It's fascinating to me that it's something that's so consistent, like that happens that way. So
I've taken people turkey hunting a lot because it's a great way to get people started into hunting, right? Because usually you have activity, the birds gobbling, they're there, and it's spring. So we've talked about that, how awesome spring mornings are. And so, but people will miss a lot. Because you're kind of shooting the shotgun like a rifle. But you're not. It's still a shotgun, right? So you don't squeeze the shotgun trigger. You punch it. Mm-hmm. And when you're shooting at a turkey, a stationary, animal, you're kind of squeezing the trigger, right? So you don't jerk the gun. So I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably 10 years ago. I switched to a red dot scope for one of my turkey guns. And since then, I think
Don't even say it.
What?
Just go. Go ahead.
Haven't missed?
I'm just warning you. Be careful with how you speak right here.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the people who, other than Kurt. Yeah. I think Kurt's the only one.
I missed with your gun with the red dot.
You did?
Yeah, it was a long shot, but yeah.
Oh.
That's his excuse. It was a long shot.
But
low probabilities.
The likelihood of missing has gone down substantially.
So red dot, you're seeing.
No. It's like not a hologram. It's a holographic.
It would be a holographic.
Scope's that deep from front to back. Maybe that wide, and there's a little red dot in the center of it.
And you're
projected onto a little piece of glass.
Okay.
It's like a screen.
So the concept is anywhere that you can see that red dot, whether your gun's turned or this or that or whatever, if that red dot is on the bird, then that's where you're going to hit it.
It could be in the side. The red dot could be over to the side of the scope, but if it's on the bird's head,
So before that, you prefer a rear sight, the double beaded?
No, because most people still don't get it. If you didn't grow up shooting a shotgun,
I guess
it's really hard because what they're doing, a lot of people
is they're looking too high on it, like they
can see the whole rib of the gun, and the bead, right? So that means they're going to shoot high. We went through this with him when he was young.
Yep.
Or they're burying it. In other words,
you can only see the top of the bead.
You can just see part of the bead, and what you got to be able to see is all the bead, but not the rib.
But that's
right. So that's a really hard thing to get people to understand.
Well, but if you have 2 beads though, line them up.
Well, but that's the hard thing is people
won't catch that because they're looking for that second bead.
Yeah.
So they won't catch that they can see the rib because they can see the second bead because it's they see what they're looking to focus on, so they don't see what's in between. They don't see. But the other thing that I will say is I think it's person dependent and I think it's also load dependent. You have guns out there that will shoot a little bit differently, like where you can't just line them straight up, because if you do, at least in my experience, and maybe it's operator error more often than not, but like you could have a gun that you put a certain load in it and you shoot and you're like doing everything you can to line it up and get steady and everything. And that gun, just that pattern always sits a little bit low. So like we'll pattern them. Yeah. A little bit left, a little bit right. So we'll pattern them. And usually with left and right, we won't really compensate much, but like with the up and down, we might say like, oh, if you're shooting this gun, make sure that you could see a little bit of the rib. You'd never worry about that with ducks or upland hunting or whatever, but when you're treating it more like a rifle, you kind of have those little tweaks and stuff. So it's complicated. Like with new people, we won't generally say like do a little bit. We'll just try to get them on, because if you're on, the bird's gonna die because we're not gonna have them shoot at 60 yards or whatever. And
a lot of new people also flinch if they're not, even if they've shot, practice with that gun. Mm-hmm. There's a flinch thing. It's like
it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's just a getting used to shooting guns thing in
general.
Guns.
Yeah,
but it's hard to describe to somebody though. Shooting a shotgun with the bead at a stationary object, not something flying, but a stationary object. It's really hard to explain that because, I've had a hard time. I had a hard time with him because he missed like 3 birds one season out here in a row, 2 in one day, I think it was. And I'm just like,
I don't think it was 2 in one day.
All right.
It was a lot though. And they were all within like 30 yards. So
we went to the range and it's just like, okay, shoot that target. And he shoots it, and he's shooting really high. And I'm like, what are you seeing? So we went through the whole thing and then got where it was consistent. He was shooting like he was supposed to, and we went and he killed a bird.
$1,000 later, apparently.
The bird was
No, we weren't shooting TSS at that time. That was before TSS.
Said they don't do that.
That was before TSS. I missed my share. I'm telling you, it's one of those things where you can. I thought at one point in my turkey hunting career, I literally would think in my head, how do you miss a turkey? I don't understand how you can miss a turkey. And I went on a missing spree. That was just, it was God basically going, hey, buddy.
A lesson in humility.
Let me just teach you this little lesson. This is how you miss turkeys over and over again.
And those are the worst with anything. It's like, obviously, if you miss a deer, I feel like it hurts more because generally you get less chances with big game.
There's so much into it,
than you do with, your waterfowl or whatever. But you can get mad at a miss, but you can't get mad at the miss at the same time because if you're obviously taking the shot, you got the bird to do what it was intended to do, but at the same time you have to get mad because it's your fault. Like that's how I view it. It's like an interesting dynamic because I can only get mad at myself, but I don't want to get mad at myself because I just made that bird do exactly what I wanted it to do. But then I popped up and
you succeeded to the point of getting the opportunity.
Yeah, and then you failed.
Which makes it better, but it also makes it worse because it's like all I had to do was this one little thing right.
Yeah, it's like it should be the easiest part of the whole system is not, people think that the tricking the bird or the deceiving the bird or sounding like the bird is the hardest part. And then what you do when you shoot clays or you shoot targets for, hours, it's like, oh, it should be a breeze. And then you pull up or you pull the trigger and you're, 5 yards off or whatever.
Well, neither one of you asked the question is what's the most important thing about turkey hunting?
What is the most important thing about turkey hunting?
Would you say it was calling?
If I just had to take a guess.
Yeah.
I'd probably say the not the concealment aspect, like the not moving and the staying still and that's just guess.
That's a good answer.
It is.
Was it the right answer?
Location. Well,
he didn't even guess, so I feel like I automatically did better.
No,
than
that's
him.
what I was gonna say.
It's like
I was just gonna say location.
it's like you and your ducks, though, right?
Oh yeah,
You go out into the field, right? I'm assuming this is what you do. You watch where they're feeding.
Mm-hmm.
You go out there.
Find
you
the
don't
X.
just set up.
You watch where they land.
You watch where they land, but you're probably also looking for droppings and stuff like that.
Yeah, when
where
you get out
they're
there in
at,
the
or if
morning.
there's no grain versus grain,
and
you're setting up on the edge of that, right about where you got them pinned that they're laying. So you're on the X, right? Location. Deer hunting.
Yeah.
Location. Got to be where the deer's going to be or wants to be. Turkey hunting is the same. If you can be where they want to be, that's the biggest thing. You can call and be awesome at it and still not kill birds if you're not where they want to be.
But on the other hand, you can, on occasion, make something out of nothing with your ability to call.
Yes, that's
not
true.
that it has to be that good, but you could be in the wrong spot. But if you're there at the right time, you can make a bird come
With
to
the
you
right bird.
when they wouldn't normally want to.
Fly over the river.
Well, and there's
Exactly.
also,
We were totally in the wrong. We were as far away as we could be, basically. But that bird, he was listening at the right time.
Funny.
yeah, and there's the opposite of that where you can be, like, I've hunted with people who are just god awful at calling, but if it's the right day, you'll have the birds. You'll have the birds on a string.
Sometimes you're calling for yourself, though.
Oh,
You're
right.
not calling for the birds. You're calling just to hear yourself call.
There's days where you could not make a peep and those birds are gliding right in. Or I assume there's days in turkey calling where you have to make very little noise and the birds will just.
One thing I will say too, though, is one of the hardest parts is the balance between getting close while the birds are on the roost, but not too close. Like in terms of getting to the right spot. Because it's easy to look up there at the birds and be like, oh, look, there's a tom right there. He's strutting in the tree. You know, I'm just going to go sit at the base of the tree. When he flies down, I'll just shoot him. That might work on very rare occasions if all the stars align and you're super quiet or it's raining, they can't hear you, the sky's really dark, whatever.
Leaves.
Generally, it never will. But it could.
Because they're going to be like,
yeah, they're going to be looking right down at you.
there's dudes down there.
Yeah. So, but you could also get, if you have the right scenario, you have the right approach, cover, sound, wind, whatever, rain, whatever it is, you can get very close to birds and be like, they're going to fly down and be within range,
So be within, what's your recommendation? Within 100 yards of a roost?
I think if you have decoys, if you can get decoys out and be within probably 100 to 200 yards of where a bird is going to hit the ground, not the roost necessarily, because they could fly for half a mile coming out of a tree if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But if you are pretty confident, like they're roosted up here, I think they're going to come down here, and maybe after they, immediately fly down, they walk this way. If you can get around the corner where they can't see you, and you can set up decoys and be basically be the turkeys there before they get there, you probably don't even, that's a situation where you probably don't even have to call. Because if those birds are going to do that, or at least get within eye shot of your decoys, then a lot of times if they're going to cooperate, they'll hit the ground, they'll do whatever they are going to do, and as soon as they see your decoys, they'll probably just... But then there's other times where you could see them do that 10 days in a row from the other side of the river or whatever it is that you're watching from, or you could watch them on trail cameras if you got trail cameras out for deer hunting and you see them doing the same. And then the first day that you set up like that, they do something they've never done before. They are, my theory with turkeys, which I tell everybody, is that, well, the number one thing I've heard a lot of people say is that turkeys would be the hardest game species to kill if they could smell. Because it's so hard to beat their eyes, and it is hard to beat their ears, and it's just, they're small, they're hard to see, it's tough. But my thing is that turkeys are incredibly hard to hunt for one reason. Most people think that who have hunted them think that it's because they're smart. But what I like to think is that they are so stupid that they have become completely unpredictable. There's no way, like, you can pattern a deer because it's smart.
Yeah.
Generally. You can, especially with bears. Bears are very smart, and that's the reason you can pattern them a lot of times. Turkeys, you can't pattern them because they're too stupid to do the same thing. Like, they hit the ground and they're like, it might as well be the first day they were ever alive. And they're just like, I think I'm gonna go that way. Like,
well, the birds we're hunting out here are Merriam crosses for the most part, or Merriams, and so they're more fickle. Easterns are more predictable. Like, Eastern subspecies will roost basically in the same tree every day.
well, roosting is one thing, but what they do when they hit the ground is something
I know, but
entirely different.
Easterns are a little more predictable than these birds out here. These birds, they just are so.
They also could be a lot harder to call in, though.
Yes, they're so
Eastern
wacky.
birds.
Yeah.
Because they hear, mostly I'd say because they hear a lot more calls.
Yeah. Like, if you go to the southeast, the most of the calling that they do is very soft, and all the little sounds that hens make and stuff like that, they're not getting on them, getting after them, calling really hard to them a lot of times. So,
And these birds up here sound like teenagers compared to the Easterns down south. Like
high pitched, or what do you mean by that?
It's high pitched, not as loud. It's like, it's funny because I never really noticed the difference going from one to the other. But then there was a season a few years, 5-6 years ago now, where we hunted here and then we went down to Missouri for a week. And the first morning we walked into the woods in Missouri, there was a bird that gobbled probably 150, 200 yards away through the trees. And it like knocked me back. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, like that bird sounds like it could have been a 2-year-old, but it sounded like it's just deeper, it's louder, it's more just like commanding, like it's just a stronger sound. And these birds, but it's a kind of a thing with the subspecies. Like the Merriam's birds, a lot of times they're more vocal, like they'll gobble more times in a given morning, depending on where you go, but they're not as strong. They're smaller birds. They're just, they're different. So that gobble is one of the things that I was not prepared for, that we went down there and I was like, good gosh, like these are the big boys, So
what's the size of the bird, the average size out east versus what you're shooting here? What's the diff?
I don't know about average.
It's not much.
Let's just say that, it's not much, right? Because we're talking about a bird.
Yeah.
Couple pounds, true. I'd say.
But if you're back east and you kill a bird that weighs 24 pounds, let's say, you've killed a really nice bird.
Yeah.
Out here, if you kill a 21-pound bird, you've killed a really nice bird.
Yeah.
You get down into the middle of the country, like Missouri and stuff. I mean, check station that I ran, we had not a lot of them, but we had birds checked in. They're 27 pounds, 28 pounds. I mean, big.
Dang.
They're monsters.
25 is that's like the number of like anywhere you go. If you shoot a 25-pound bird, like you got a good one.
What do you, okay, you got a rack on a buck. What do you keep it on a turkey? Is that a thing?
Spurs and a beard.
Spurs and the beard.
Right. That's the kind of those flashy things that are a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
But it's directly related for the most part. Part of it's genetic, like you could have a bird that has longer spurs that could be the same age as another. But like the longer spurs, the longer beard, the older the bird. With deer, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Because they go backwards, and as they get older, and you can have a deer that's, 2 years younger that has twice as much antler as a deer that's, 2 years older.
Yeah, because they hit that drop off.
You also have other factors about the habitat that they're in. They can wear their beard off. Spurs can be worn off.
Freeze off the beard.
Yeah,
which we think
beard
happens
rot.
quite a bit out here.
Yeah, you would think,
because you don't see a lot of birds with anything beyond 10-inch beard out here. A 10-inch beard is like probably the longest that any of us have shot in North Dakota. But like a tom with a 10-inch beard and with an eastern or the eastern or southern states is kind of like, it's all right.
Yeah,
it's a good tom.
I think my best beard ever is like 11 and a half.
Yeah.
And I think that was Kansas. And best spurs was my Osceola, and I think that was like 1.5
Dang.
Yeah, they're nuts.
They call them limb hangers. So if you can take the bird and
Hang it up there.
hang him by his spurs,
Yes.
you killed a really good bird.
Yeah.
But I don't care. If the beard's hanging, I'm shooting.
Right.
You
We're
know,
not picky about
I'm not going
age.
to wait, for a certain bird. So
Yeah.
are we at trivia?
Yeah, unless you guys want anything else real quick.
I'm going to throw out one little piece of scripture.
Thank you.
A new verse that relates to kind of hunting, meat, animals, consumption that I was not aware of that I found the other day. It's in Acts 10, verse 12. Yeah, 12 or 13. And the context is basically God sent an angel to talk to this guy named Cornelius about some stuff, and he wanted him to meet up with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And in Joppa, I think is what the place was called. And so he tells this guy, send some people and go find Peter or Simon, who they call Peter. And so he sends his guys, and Peter doesn't know that they're coming because he's in wherever doing whatever. And then he has this vision that ends up basically notifying him like these people are coming to talk to you. But he was really hungry, like while he was waiting before he had this vision, he's really hungry and he was like having trouble focusing essentially. And the verse starting at verse 11, he saw heaven opened and something resembling a large sheet coming down, lowered to the ground by its four corners. In it were all the earth's four-legged animals and reptiles and the birds of the sky. A voice said to him, "Get up, Peter, slaughter and eat." But Peter said, "Certainly not, sir, for never have I eaten anything profane and unclean." The voice spoke to him again a second time, "What God has made clean, you are not to call profane." So I just thought it doesn't get much clearer for just yet another verse about these animals God has given us permission to eat, and
Amen.
We don't have to worry about, all of the rules of, the Old Testament Mosaic law about what animals you can and can't eat and the different things you got to do to eat them.
Choose
He basically
split things. Yeah.
Yeah. If he had never done it before, right there in Acts with Peter, he basically said, have it your way.
Amen.
All right.
Gentry.
Trivia time. I tried to think of the best way to word this one, and I think I got it down. But
this ought to be good.
bear with me. So in the 2026 over the summer and starting in the fall, there is an organization that is obviously to do with wildlife conservation stuff. They have decided to implement what's called their Paths program in North Dakota, which is to purchase sections of land and dedicate them to conservation, and then open them up from during the hunting seasons to the public, like North Dakota's plots system, but this is through that organization. So name the organization.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
PATH. PATH.
Nope.
What? I didn't answer.
Wait, yeah.
You said the Paths.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this in
Path.
did you say this is in a certain state?
This state, North Dakota,
It's in North Dakota.
starting this fall.
I've never heard of this.
Me neither have I. This sounds
So
a
like
lot.
RMEF, Delta Waterfowl, Pheasants Forever, Quails Forever, those type.
I'm gonna say it's pheasants and quail.
I'm going to go with Mule Deer Foundation.
It's probably Delta.
It's Pheasants Forever.
Oh.
I said
That's
quail
cool.
too, which I know is kind of probably cheating, but they do a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
The Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever.
Well, it's one
Yeah.
organization now. So
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I knew
Really?
that they were connected. I didn't know exactly how, but I just saw a few weeks back they had their convention. I think it was in Minneapolis, and they did it jointly. So I guess that would be why.
Yeah.
So
Used
I
to be
don't know.
Quail Unlimited.
Yeah, I don't know the amount that they're
I
buying
believe.
or dedicating or whatever. I don't know if they've released that yet. You can probably find it somewhere, or the amount that they plan to. But it's gonna be like the plot system. It's open to sportsmen from I'd guess probably around the 1st of September to the January. Same thing as the plots is. But yeah,
Are there any restrictions in terms of like how many people can be on?
I don't know yet.
Okay, that'll be interesting to look into.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool.
There's as we've shared, I've talked to a few game wardens this year. All good encounters, but man, I drove by a federal warden the other day, and I'm almost on Audubon. I think there's only 2 or 3 of them, and I fish up there so much. I just got to be like, hey, would you guys mind? Because there's a couple questions I would like to ask about plots and this. Anyways, just their thoughts on things.
You cannot use plots for ice fishing access.
Yeah,
Don't believe that lie.
I want to ask. I want to know that for sure if that was
positive. That's a rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which bothers
You can't?
me. You cannot.
Because plots is technically open from like September to January, like the first of the months, I think. And then after that, it goes back. It reverts back to all like private land. Not open to the sportsmen.
I can see that.
So you can't turkey hunt on it?
I don't think so. No. I'd have to look at it, but I know for sure you cannot use it for ice access because it's closed during like that part of the year. It might open up in the spring
looking
again.
into.
Well, I know a father and a son who've both been written up the same lake within a week because they both were doing the same thing. And I would have thought that too.
Interesting.
But anyways.
Yeah, that's a good question. If anybody knows, let us know in the comments.
Here we
But
go.
thank you, Gentry and Dan, for bringing up some questions and letting us
Yeah, this is good
go
stuff.
off on turkey tangents.
Can we spoiler alert for next week? Because
Go right ahead.
Excited.
By all means.
I'm fired up.
Give it-
I don't know if I want to say anything more, but next week I am. Oh man,
It's going
Holy
down.
cow.
we've been texting back and forth, and the more I read this foolishness is like,
Did I send
Oh.
that to you guys?
yeah, you
It's-
you
Yeah,
started
And
it.
then all of a sudden, it's just like, and I'm like, whoa, there's pages
Yeah.
of text.
It was one of those websites I went to. I was like, I don't actually want to go to this website, but I have to just to read this nonsense.
And if
So-
you want to figure out what they're talking about,
Yeah,
come back next week.
if you're a proponent or not a proponent of conservation, there's going to be some opinions shared next week,
Or ranching.
or ranching, or anything to do with,
Or you have chickens.
or livestock of any kind.
Yeah.
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 There's something. This is going to be write your congressman kind of thing.
We should find out if it's okay to kill mice in your house.
It's
'Cause
probably
I'm
not.
pretty sure
Pest
That's not
control.
imminent danger.
Pest and control is
yeah,
also
yeah.
next.
that's also.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is
so
it legal?
It would
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got rats in your house, you just got to move.
be. You just live with them.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
it's a symbiotic
Yes.
relationship.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
eat your food and you
Yeah.
give them a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You would have to.
Or no, that
open-
would be a parasitic relationship. I
Like
believe.
children.
You'd have to take something from the rats.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's actually, I didn't even
They're
think about
just
that.
like children.
Yeah, there you go.
The children allow you to have the joy of raising them.
Well, it's all about perspective, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Children allow you.
So if
to
you're
have the
if you
joy.
want to do some googling and maybe you don't, but
Oh, you're going to spoil it.
should I or no? Or should we?
Do you
I
want
don't.
to create a
It's up to you,
cliffhanger?
man.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, because I feel
Hey.
like we want.
You got to think about it this way: the
Yeah.
more people that don't, well, we can't do anything about it. It's not in our state.
Yeah. Well, it
We
could
can,
be
Yeah.
we can
You know.
change minds. We can impact
Yeah.
people's
We'll
thoughts.
impact 20 people who view this.
So what I was going
5
to
of
say
which are
is
not our
if you
families.
want people to educate, and whoever's listening, yeah,
All right,
because then
so-
they can look into it. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't go any farther than the act.
Yeah. It's IP 28, the Peace Act,
In what state?
Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah, we put up a little info on the Instagram and the Facebook pages. So if you want to start there,
That might
by
be
all
one of those. I
means.
might want to call a rancher or two and get their. Do they even know about it? Are they concerned? Yeah, anyways.
Oh,
so,
I'm
yeah.
sure they know about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that'll be next week. So yeah, thank you guys again for bringing some questions, and yeah, if you guys like what we're doing, subscribe, like, give us some love on there, so we know that we should keep doing what we're doing. But even if you don't like it, we're gonna keep going anyway. So.
Appreciate you.